Ugh. Politics is a game. It's a game of smoke and mirrors to distract people at the ground level.
Love them. Love them. I love talking about it. Love seeing it in action. I like viewing world politics and the way they all interact with each other. I think it's really cool. I think it's really interesting.
Politics to me are not that important.
I think politics are important because we do need to talk about what is happening and what different people want. That's how a democracy works.
I do not like talking about politics.
I like to talk about politics with people that are rational, yeah.
I speak to everyone about it. If my views don't align with the individuals I'm speaking with, and I really do speak with literally everyone about them, then I just ask a lot of questions, and that's like my method.
With people whose views are similar to mine, I don't like confrontation or conflict of any kind.
I try not to get angry, but I do get emboldened, and I just never let that resort to name calling.
Not at all.
Why
not? Because I really feel like it's a waste of time to talk about it. When I like to talk about politics in terms of this, like, how can we dismantle this and start over? How can we get rid of the Electoral College? Like, that's an interesting conversation for me to have. But to debate the difference between Republicans and Democrats, or liberals versus conservatives, like that conversation, I just kind of go, oh, everyone's just spinning their wheels, doing like you feel like you're having a productive conversation, but after being on the planet 44 years, like these conversations are repetitive and cyclical, and it is gross. It's starting to look like it's by design.
Not really. Again, if it's something I'm passionate about, I will talk about it, and if somebody has a real different view from me, I'm willing to fight for what I believe, but also listen to what they believe in, and if what they say makes sense, then that's okay. What they say does not make sense, then that's not okay.
I'm conservative as all hell. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so liberal. I'm a snowflake.
I'm such a liberal.
Definitely not Democrat, that's for sure.
Classical libertarian. Socially, I'm usually pretty liberal on issues. Very fiscally conservative. I think a free market works best, but I usually also think people should be allowed to do as they want to.
I think voting by party really dumbs down and almost gives excuses for people to not actually pay attention to what their candidate is talking about. So I definitely, I've only ever voted twice because I'm 19. So I do vote. I do like to know what my candidate stands for.
Candidate? But I mean, the candidates are always in the party.
I have always been a big believer in voting for policies. Where do they fall on abortion rights? Where do they fall on equal pay for women and men? Where do they fall on education spending, healthcare? And so I would be perfectly fine if someone called themselves a Republican and that was what their platform was that they were standing on, to vote for them. And if it was a Democrat or an independent, I would vote for them.
I love that you assume that I vote. I love that. I do not vote anymore. Oh my gosh, I said this out loud in public. I don't. I believe that the government, like the government that we know about exists up to here, and then there's a secret shadow government that is controlling a lot of our dollars and a lot of our money, and really running things, and like beyond our president. Like the president doesn't know about this stuff. So I don't vote anymore because I don't believe in our political system.
Candid. I would have really enjoyed to see Kasich run. He's very boring, but he has a generally good head on his shoulders, pretty level-headed guy, kind of boring, not weird like Cruz. who's also the Zodiac Killer. God, I wish Bernie had ran against Trump. I think that would have been a much more interesting election. That would have been really a dichotomy of two completely different ends of the political spectrum. Even in just the way that they raised their funds, Trump was completely privately funded, versus like you look at Bernie, who's completely publicly funded, and their ideas and the way they want to take the country and the direction they want to move the economy and general politics towards were completely different. So I think that would have been a hell of a lot more interesting to watch than Trump beat up on this old woman all the time. I mean, who didn't get, like, even if you hated Hillary, who didn't get hyped when, during one of their debates, Hillary went, "I'm glad a man like Donald Trump isn't in charge of the law in America." And he went, "Yeah, because he'd be in jail." Like, that's not an election. That's a TV show.
Yes, they all think I'm very, very, very irresponsible to not vote, especially, so if I identify as an Afro-Latina, then the Afro side of me especially is horrified, because we're like, our people marched and to make sure that you could have the right to vote. And I appreciate that, I understand that argument, but yeah, I have friends who try to make me feel guilty all the time. But I've been all over the place. I was a Democrat, then I was a Republican, then I was an independent, now I'm nothing.
There's nothing more annoying or boring than people who silently agree with everything you say. I find it actually crucial, imperative that you talk amongst people who don't align any or very few views with you.
Pretty much all of them. Pretty much all of them. Family, a lot, yeah. Naming my sister. My sister ends up crying a lot when we talk about politics.
Yes. I have a father-in-law whose beliefs, or voting pattern, I should say, I think, from what he tells me, really opposes mine. And what is very confusing to me is that his beliefs sound very similar to mine.
My dad and my mom are pretty left-leaning, which I think is why I kind of believe what I believe in, is because I don't like to, just a lot of people believe in what their parents believe in just because they've been talking about it their whole lives, and want people to vote for the people that their parents vote for because they think that's what's right. But it's important to have your own voice and your own opinions.
Yep, Ted. And a lot of my husband's family are very, very Republican. And sometimes to the point where they won't even listen to another view. So I see it as my job to make them listen to me, but in a respectful way. And they tend to just shut you down, and I won't be shut down, but I will also show them that I'm willing to listen to what you're saying, so therefore you may not have to agree with me, but you should be respectful enough to listen to my opinion. Like I said, you don't have to agree, and I don't have to agree with you. But we should be able to talk about it like we're all human beings. And we're family, especially, we have to go to holidays together.
Oh boy. Oh God, I don't even know. There are so many.
Climate change, the things that really shouldn't be controversial. Colin Kaepernick kneeling and peacefully protesting, yet getting massive amounts of backlash for that. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Probably gun control. I just don't think that there's any need for, is it like the semi-automatics? I'm like, seriously? Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, who needs one of those today? And mental health. Like, I think the two of them go hand in hand. Mental health is swept under the rug, and it really shouldn't be. And it doesn't mean that just because you have a mental health problem, you're going to go and grab a gun. Like, the gun control, if it's controlled better, it's not necessarily going to get into the hands of people who shouldn't have it in their hands. Yes, you have a right to bear arms, but there are certain arms that no one, unless you're out to war, should be bearing. I think that's stupid.
I believe the most controversial issue right now is our President Trump and his tweeting all about the North Korean leader, and I believe he's trying to get us into a war.
Today, right now, maybe that tax plan that President Trump is trying to get passed. I feel so sad for his white poor supporters who voted for him, thinking that their life was going to get better and all the promises he made them. He's screwing them. He's screwing his own supporters. I love that it's another like obvious like corporate welfare plan. Like, you know, like I think the more people start seeing that the corporations are running things and like big money is big influence, then maybe we have a shot at coming together across all of our differences.
The most controversial, I think in some ways I come down to it being gender, but then I could argue it's race. But I think one of those things is driving so much of American politics right now. Is it also that people can't, some people could never vote for a woman? And is that sort of driving it? And driving a lot of decisions at different levels is to keep women in a place that is second to men in our society.
This is going to sound a little weird, but I think the most controversial political issue right now is politics itself. It is where you fall on the political spectrum is the most controversial thing about you.
I'd like to think we're not.
I think you would have to have your head buried under a rock to think not.
Yes. So polarized.
And why?
Because people don't want to talk about politics because it hurts people's feelings.
Yeah, because people don't listen to other people. People don't want to be proven wrong. So if you can't be proven wrong, you're not going to change your political views and you're not going to listen to somebody else's political views. So there it is, right there.
It's the people's fault. Because, yeah, it is every single one of our faults.
I don't think polarization is always bad because we're always going to disagree with other people in a political system.
Politically.
Yes, I do.
Whose fault do you think it is?
Gosh, it's like so many prongs, right? So we have a crappy education system that creates non-critical thinkers who are easily convinced and manipulated into believing something or hating something. And so our education system is to blame. The media is to blame. The media is owned by like 3 parent companies. If you go all the way to the tip top, there's 3. And it's those 3 that are like giving us the information, right? And so I think that the media, like I told my son from very young, how many hours in a day, Gwen? How many hours? 24. News is like 30 minutes or an hour, right? Like CBS, like Channel 3 News, WFSB, 30-minute news block or an hour, right? How much of the stories that you hear are negative in that 30 minutes or in that hour? A lot, right? In 24 hours, could we have found 30 minutes worth of positive news to pump out into the airwaves? Yep, but we didn't. How come?
If it bleeds, it leads.
Yes, because it's easier to control and manipulate scared people. That's it. And so I long for the day where we can disagree without being divided, right? Where I can say, oh my gosh, I disagree entirely with that. Cute shoes, I love you. And you can say to me, I disagree entirely with that too. Daps.
I think the biggest issue with, or I think the reason why political polarization happened is because it's a natural effect of affluence. So the more affluent a society becomes, especially in social regards, the more generally liberal and left it goes, which isn't inherently a bad thing. I mean, I completely disagree with it, but it's natural. When you run out of problems to really deal with that, you know, can't really be fixed permanently, such as, you know, unemployment. The only way you can fix unemployment is communism. You know, you never want a 0% unemployment rate because that would destroy your economy. And on the same end, something like taxation and the economy, something that's sort of ever-changing and flowing, so it's not really like that's something that can really just be dealt with once and for all. So once you get rid of all the, you know, rights issues, once you get rid of all of the oppression and violence issues that you feasibly can, you can't completely eliminate violence, can't completely eliminate individual cases of discrimination, what happens is that issues that aren't as harmful or impactful start getting raised. And that's why we've seen this really big push by the political left in terms of social issues, is because it's natural. When you have such an affluent society and you don't have anything else to care about, you're going to care about the battles that you can fight, no matter how little or unimportant they might be. So I think it's just sort of a natural progression of societies.
I don't think it's any one certain group or person's fault. I think it has. I think if I could put the blame on one thing, it would probably be the media. You know, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. But if you watch the news, you're also uninformed. So I mean, what you see on TV isn't what you should always believe. I don't think, and you can never know what to trust. So I think, back to what I said before, I think we should start talking about it, because I think the only thing that the media does is separate people. And if we just left it to what politics aren't cool, I don't think it's cool to be political. So I don't understand why recently everyone's been so hot and about politics.
Get a new leader.
I think, as I said before, we should get rid of the Democrats and the Republicans and just make a unified party for the betterment of the United States as a whole.
Stop talking about it. I think that's probably the best thing to do.
Stop talking about what?
All politics in general. I think if you don't talk about it, then and you leave it up to the people that you vote for, then probably wouldn't be as many riots.
Talk with everyone, including, actually, don't even talk to people you agree with. Talk to people you don't agree with. I think that the most important part of my experience and development as a person so far was going to college and meeting people and talking to people who I would in no terms align myself with on the political spectrum, but getting to know them and getting to be friends with them kind of just shows you, we're all people and we all want the best, whether we agree with each other or not. And I think to form a more understanding between humanity, we need to talk and not care if we hurt anyone's feelings in the process.
Beneficial to who? To what? I don't know. I mean, can it draw families closer? Maybe. I don't know. I think it's good for the younger generation to practice speaking their beliefs in the face of opposing viewpoints and seeing if they can stay true to that stance in the face of relatives and family members. I don't think you're going to change any minds. I don't think you're going to change any hearts. And even if you did, again, that would be good for your personal family, but is that beneficial to the world, to the country? I don't know. I don't talk about politics at home at all.
I do. I think it is, and I wish more people would want to talk politics at the dinner table, because I think it really trains you to be open-minded, accepting, as long as there are people there who model that behavior for you. But it gives you, should be, and I would hope, the ideal is that that's the safest place for families to try out different ideas and thoughts and policy stances with each other.
This project makes me hopeful, right? There's young people on the planet having critical conversations about this. Good. I really, really, really hope and pray that there's more of you that can stand in the gap. Those are the people who are going to help the planet, help the world. The people who can stand between two polarized sides and see both sides of it and have empathy for both sides. Those are the people who we need on the planet right now.
Well, who's the president of the United States?
Donald Trump.
Who is it?
Donald Trump.
Do you like Donald Trump?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Why?
Because.
Do you like to talk about politics?
Yes.
Nora, do you think that you're a Democrat or a Republican?
Republican.
Oh, what?
Republican.